Hello, and welcome to Becoming Your Own Best Friend, a show about self-esteem with your host, Randy Haveson. In this show, we're going to be talking about self-esteem, what it is, how to build it, and how to get rid of the obstacles that get in the way of our success. So join me now as we explore becoming your own best friend. Hello, and welcome to another episode. Today, we are going to talk about why self-esteem is important and how it's going to benefit you in your life. And you know, it's funny, I woke up today with this thought because, you know, we're in some pretty uncertain times right now where there's a lot going on and we're getting a lot of information and we're not sure how to process it because all this is new. So I was inspired that when you're not able to go outside, go inside. So this is where self-esteem comes from. And now is a perfect time to look at self and building self-esteem, because one of the things that I found is that when the whole world seems to be chaotic, when you have solid self-esteem, then you still feel good about who you are, where you fit, and what's going on. So it's kind of like that picture we've all seen where that storm rips through a neighborhood and all the houses are destroyed, but for some reason there's that one house that's still standing. And self-esteem is that way when there's all this chaos and all this stuff going on around you. When you have high self-esteem, you're that house that's still standing because it's solid and it cannot be influenced or taken away by exterior factors. So you stay solid with who you are when your self-esteem is strong. So that's why now is a perfect time to start looking at self and to doing some of the things that I outline in my book, that I talk about in these episodes, is how to build self-esteem and feel better about who you are so that you become your own best friend. And no matter what's going on around you, you're good because you adjust, but you're still okay, that you're not influenced by all the different things that are going on around you. So today I want to talk about some of the things that you can do. And again, I want to start simple. You know, if you're new on this journey of building self-esteem, to not get overwhelmed. I watch people, and I've talked about this before, like the whole New Year's resolution thing. I'm going to lose weight and eat better and sleep better and do, all these 20 things. And then one of them doesn't happen. And then we don't do any of them. So I don't want to set up this huge expectation of self. But what would be better is to set some very short-term goals for yourself and to set some simple things that you can do for yourself in order to start on that path. Again, the path to running a marathon starts with walking around the block. So that's what I want to start with today and talk about today. So if you're new to this journey, to give you some things where you can get some really quick successes right from the beginning. So I always get into this situation where, I want to talk about my book and how valuable I think it is for people. For me, it's not about it being a moneymaker. It's about helping people to feel better about who they are. But I always feel uncomfortable. That would be a good word. When I plug my book, because I don't want you to think that I'm doing that just so that I sell more books. Sure, that would be nice. But the goal is that I see such an ego-based society out there, and my goal is to turn this ego-based society into a self-esteem-based society. So by saying, I think it would be a good idea to buy my book, it's to help you get a better sense of self. That's why I've done my best to keep the price low. I've kept the pages low. People tell me it takes like an hour and a half to read my book. Which I love because that was kind of the intention. I see some books that have a lot of fluff put into them. I have gone out of my way to get rid of the fluff and just give solid content that's going to help you. So in these podcasts and on this YouTube channel, my goal is to give you little snippets and to give you some things to get you started on the path. Or for those of you who've been on the path, to give you some reinforcers that, hey, what I'm doing, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I do feel good about doing these things. And, I didn't know that. Now I can do this now. So that's the whole purpose of this. So when I say, if something in here really strikes you as, wow, that sounds good, and you want more of it, you can always go to Amazon, get my book, and it can be delivered in a couple days. or you can get it on Kindle now and start to read and start to implement these things into your life, because it's only meant to benefit you. Because when you benefit you, when you're taking care of yourself, you're doing everyone around you a favor too. So here are some simple things that you can do in order to start raising your self-esteem and to start really solidifying who you are, where you are, and what's going on with you, so that you feel better about self and better about what's going on in the world around us. So again, as all the chaos is happening around us, find a solid place. So one of the things I talk about in my book and in my presentations is that I separate self into 4 different parts: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And that if we exercise and nourish all 4 parts on a regular basis, we're going to raise our self-esteem and feel better about who we are. It's that simple. So in these times where you're in your house, what do I do? How do I fill my time? Naps are awesome, but how many naps can you take? Well, ask my daughter. She can nap all day long. But the other time during the day, what are some things you can do? So my suggestion is get out a piece of paper, write down physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and start taking a look at what are some things that you can do for the 4 different parts of self. So to give you an example, for the physical, I love working out at a gym called 9 Round. It's my favorite way to exercise my physical self. But right now, I don't feel comfortable going out and going to a gym and doing that. And also, to be 100% transparent, I'm not feeling 100%. I'm kind of feeling a little rundown. And I don't know if it's psychosomatic or whether there's something going on. I don't know. But I don't want to cause anyone else to be infected by anything I could maybe have a possible chance of having. So I'm going to stay home. But there are things that I can do. I can do push-ups, I can do sit-ups, I can do jumping jacks. On the 9 Round website, they have daily workouts. So I'm thinking I might do part of that. And I don't know if I'm going to do the whole thing or not. I might do half of one. I might do 5 minutes of one. I don't know. I'll do the best that I can. Another thing I'm also planning for today, I can still go outside. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. Our dog is getting more walks than he's had ever. He's like, really? Another one? But yeah, another one. So he gets to go out and see the neighborhood. So I'm going to be doing that later because it's a beautiful day today. I get to be here in Orlando, Florida. I just checked the weather. It's 77 degrees outside. So I'm going to go for a nice walk. I see some clouds out there. It's going to be gorgeous. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to go outside, go for a walk, have lunch. So simple little things. So just taking care of self. And my lunch is going to be a salad. And I had my protein shake for breakfast. So I'm sticking to my routine as much as I can. And it's really easy right now to kind of go overboard on the sweets and the snack foods and all of that. But I'm doing my very best not to do that. So I had my shake this morning. I'm going to have a salad for lunch. So I want to stick to taking care of my physical self the best way that I can. Now, am I going to have one of my daughter's pumpkin muffins later? Yeah, I am, because they're awesome. And yesterday she was baking and she made these and they're amazing. So I will definitely have one of those. But again, I'm not setting myself up that my eating has to be perfect and my exercise has to be perfect. One of the things about self-esteem is that it's not perfect. There's no such thing as perfect self-esteem. So it's something we're always working towards and striving towards, but we're just looking to get better one day at a time in order to feel better about who we are and where we fit in the world. So that's the whole goal. It's not about let's get to perfect. Perfection is an ego thing. It's not a self-esteem thing. So I don't need to be perfect for anybody or anything. Here, on this day, I'm doing the best I can with the tools I have. So I'm going to do 5 or 10 minutes of exercise, go for a walk around the block, eat some healthy foods, and that's how I'm going to take care of my physical self today. Mental, my wife started a puzzle yesterday, so maybe I'll work on the puzzle a little bit. There's this new show that my daughter wants to watch on TV, so we're going to binge watch this show a little bit. And for me, the mental part of sitting with my daughter and my wife and watching a show, to me, that's just mentally calming. It's good for me emotionally too. So there are a lot of things that you can do that have crossover too. It might be good for you physically and mentally. Taking a walk is good for the mental as well. So write down what you can do, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and look for the things that can have some crossover. And again, the one that I talk about a lot that seems to be the most difficult for people is the emotional. Exercising and nourishing the emotional self is just as important as nourishing the physical self. So look for ways that you can nourish and exercise your emotional self. And as you begin to do that, look for simple ways to do that. There are movies that are out there that can stimulate the emotional. The movie Phenomenon with John Travolta. I love that one. Every time I watch it, I cry. And it's so good for my mental and my emotional. So on my website, randyspeaks.com, on the resource page, I list a lot of books and movies that I found that are very stimulating for the 4 parts of self. So you can check that out and maybe you'll find something there that you like. But for the emotional, another thing I talk about is listening to music. That's a really good way to exercise the emotional part of self. Writing in a journal. For those of you who already do journal, you know how much that can help to ease some of the emotional chaos that can go on inside of us. And by journaling, we're helping ourselves to get the feelings that are locked inside of us, we get them out. And that's the beautiful part about journaling. It kind of disarms some of those feelings that are trapped inside of us. And by expressing them and getting them out and putting them on paper, we're actually able to look at them and say, wow, now I see where that comes from. And we see that maybe something we're angry about, it comes from a sadness or it comes from being hurt. So now we can break down that anger to see what it is in order to really get to the root of what's causing that anger. Same on the other side with fear. Right now, I'm watching people in a lot of fear, and it's because of the uncertainty. So I get that, but if we break down the fear into the different components of the fear, such as, is it about confusion? Okay, what am I confused about? Or is it fearing for my safety? So looking at what the fear is and what can we do about it. I heard a long time, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So sometimes we take this one little thing and we blow it up. Like right now, I could say, oh my God, I'm feeling a little run down today. I wonder if I have the virus. But I don't need to go there. I don't know if I have it or not. But if I feed that fear, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm just going to let it be what it is. It's a concern that I have right now. Is it? But I don't know. So I'm just going to go on with my day and do the best that I can and see what happens from here. And I'm happy. And I have a lot to look forward to today because I'm filling my day with things that are going to be enjoyable. And I did some work this morning. I'm doing some work right now because here's the coolest part. This is part of my work. Doing these episodes is work. Mentally they're draining sometimes, and putting them together and realizing, okay, what am I going to say and how am I going to say it? That can take some energy, and afterwards I'm usually a little tired, but this is my work. Wow. So, the trick is to get to a place in your life where you're doing work that you really enjoy that doesn't even seem like work. And for a lot of people who are off right now and you're wondering, how am I going to fill my time? How am I going to fill my days? It can feel really uncomfortable. It can feel very unsettling. But again, if you have that sense of being solid on the inside, then no matter what's going on the outside, you're going to be okay. So write down physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and look for things that you can do to exercise and nourish those 4 parts of self. Make that list and realize that this is a list it's fluid. It's going to change and it's going to grow. And one thing you might do, I remember years ago, the way that I would exercise my physical self is I would go to the gym and I would be in a lifting weights routine. But I never really enjoyed that. I would do it just because I knew exercising my physical self was important, but I wouldn't really get into it like I do with the workout routine that I do now. So again, it's fluid, it's moving. So, what exercise nourishes your mental today might not tomorrow. So you might find something else. So this list, even though you're doing it today, put dates on it. One of the things that I did when I was writing in my journal on a regular basis, I would date the page so that I knew that years later when I went back, if I ever read my journals over again, I could see where I was at that point in my life and I could see the growth and where I've been since then. So do that if you're going to journal, or this sheet that you're going to do today about exercising and nourishing, 4 parts of self, put a date on it. And write it down so that a year from now, 5 years from now, you look back and you say, wow, when I started my journey, this is what I was doing. Now look where I am and look what I'm doing now. Look how much more full my page is. So take those steps. Take care of yourself. Again, even though we're not doing things on the outside right now, we're not congregating, we're not going to a lot of different places, there are things that you can do by taking care of your inside. So those are my tips for today. I hope you got something out of that. I wish you all the best. Yes, these are unsettling times and it just feels really weird, but we've been through these before and we're going to go through these again. And that's just part of the cycle of life. I'm sure back in the days of the Civil War, what they were dealing with was horrendous, but they made it through. Go back farther, the Black Plague, World War I, World War II. We've been through some horrible things, 9/11. We have come through some very difficult times, and this is another one of those. And 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, we're going to look back, oh, remember when the virus was out there? Remember all the stuff that happened? So we're going to look back with some sadness. We're going to look back with some new knowledge. So that's what these times are all about. So it's just about getting through today, doing the best we can to take care of ourselves. And when we do that, the future looks brighter. So I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully I'll see you again. And if you enjoy this, hopefully you'll watch another one, tell your friends, tell your family, just something to kill a few minutes on days like this. So I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you again.